As I walked to the site, I wondered what they found. Just come, and quick, over the telecom is not any indication of what they had found. Sir, if it's about the old humans, everyone knows that they were stupid, I said. Well, everyone knows that, he countered. And that's all anyone will see, he finished. But my boss didn't understand that when he called me on my weekend into work, it didn't help that he was very vague on what I was supposed to give up my Saturday for. I rode my hover rotor as far as I could, but the trees got too dense to ride through. I'm used to trees, vines, and just simply the naturey aspect of life. Why? I come from Zelna, the jungle planet, so it's easy to navigate woods and jungles for me. But just in case, I placed my location bug on my hover rotor. I grabbed my satchel. The location bug will send a signal to my Android, my handheld calling device, to tell me where it is. Really, it's extremely old technology. Then I tripped over a root coming up from the ground, and as I fell, face down might I add, everything slowed down. Then, as the pain started at the tip of my nose and seemed to work its way through the rest of my face, I hit the ground, rolled over onto my side. Ow! I yelled, in a voice so loud I was sure the workers could hear. But if they did not acknowledge me by yelling back. Oh, crap, I said, as I slowly started to pick myself up. My right knee hurts, my left elbow hurts, and my face is throbbing. Then they come. All men, big and burly, smile as they see my 5'7", 180-pound frame. But what they don't understand is that for what I lose in fat, I make up for in muscle. As I finish standing up, I ball my fists and try to keep my cool. Well, you must be Camellia, the one in front says. He's dressed like the rest, in a simple t-shirt and jeans. They all have orange and yellow reflective vests on and hard hats. He holds out a smaller black one. That's Dr. Noor to you, I say, snatching the black hat out of his hand. I put it over my blonde braid. I've come from Nova Scientific Reserve, so you guys better tell me what I gave up my well-earned weekend for this, I say, with as much authority as I can muster. Well, Dr. Noor, we would be happy to show you, the one in front says, grinning. As his lips parted, it showed his grand total of 4 teeth. You want us to get you a hover rotor there, or should I carry you? He smirked, wiggling his eyebrows. His buddies laughed. I can walk, I gritted at him. I followed him as we walked into a clearing in the woods. There I saw it. I'd seen things like this before, but they're all different. Unlike in what we live now, each one is unique, different, but most have the same basic structure. I stopped and stared in awe. Of course, in history class, everybody was taught what it was. Tall, brown, rectangular, with windows, and a large concrete porch in front. It seemed like a monster. We reckon it's a house, said the builder. Nowadays, everybody sleeps in podmores. But back in the day, I was told they called them houses, and that's what they looked like. Them old humans was stupid. Where are we? I asked, changing the subject. Said a builder from the back. He had an odd white and yellow shirt on. Technically, we are on uncharted land. No, I interrupted. Back when people lived here, they had to call it something other than uncharted land. What did they call it? Nobody seemed to have an answer to my question. Then, one builder looked directly at me. I heard a rumor that some boys over on the south side found a rusty sign. Still standing, he added. Jeffrey told me it said Multnomah Falls. So that means we are at Multnomah Falls, the builder said, drunkenly connecting the dots. He, just like the first builder, sported a 4-toothed smile. I wondered how stupid these guys really were. It can't be that simple. Haven't you ever seen a mystery movie, I asked? When clues come easy, they're almost always dummies, planted, or have nothing to do with the actual mystery. What about landmarks, stores, schools? For all we know, a Multnomah Falls school could have existed right where we're standing. All of the builders had made a semicircle around me. They all stared at me, wordless. Then one spoke up. Well, that's not what we're here for, said one. That's why you were called. It's the whole reason you are here. You are supposed to be the historian on the stupid original humans. Then help me or stay out of my way, I yelled. I turned around and headed toward the house. All of them followed, silent. I could hear the 80 work boots following me. I stepped up to the concrete porch and then to the door. I stood, frozen, knowing wonders of archaeological time were right behind the wall in front of me. Where's the button? One asked. What's your name? I asked him. John, he said. John, you're an idiot. Finger scan buttons that open doors were invented in 210. That's over 200 years ago. I'm guessing this house was built before that. John said nothing, and I'm glad he stayed silent. Arguing with civilians is not a sign of a good history major or a scientist. John, you opened the door by the knob, I said, noticing that once again they had formed a semicircle around me. And luckily, I know how to open it, I finished. I was lying. I'd seen this done, yes, but I'd never done it myself. I reached out with one hand and grasped the knob. It was cold, hard metal, and I could feel my very warm hand against it. How could I be a historian or even a scientist without getting into a 400-year-old house? 400 years is nothing in geological time. I should have known how to do this. For not knowing how to do it is such a simple task, I should feel ashamed. And yet I felt proud. It's so rare that anyone else would ever get to do what I was doing. Other scientists trained and studied for what I was about to do. So slowly, I twisted my wrist and turned the knob. I heard a click from inside the knob. Then I pulled my arm back. Ow, I heard one say as I felt the door hit something on the other side. I swung the door closed just enough to see a builder on the ground. I must have hit him when I swung the door open. I heard the other builders mumbling things like, "Come on, Bob," and "Bob, you're just like the old humans," and "Bob, you're an idiot," and "Bob, couldn't you see that the doors open out?" But I couldn't hear them. I was too busy staring at the long hallway with wooden frames lining the walls. A set of stairs splitting off from the hallway and a white door with a knob just like the one I still had my hand on. "Guys, don't you have jobs?" I said cryptically. "And even if you don't, will you leave me and let me do mine?" Reluctantly, they walked away grumbling. But that was the least of my worries. Looking inside the house, it was like looking at all of the history books at college, but better. It was real, right in front of me, so I took a step inside of the wood-floored house. This is amazing, I thought. I stepped gingerly, scared that the 400-year-old floor would buckle under my feet. But it seemed stable, even better than the plastic floors we use now. I touched the wall. Solid. After 400 years, I walked down the hall, ignoring the stairs and the door. The first picture framed featured a small boy sitting in the grass. He was smiling, like there was no tomorrow. A few feet down was an old man with gray hair and wrinkles. Then a thought hit me. I hoped that these were marks of wisdom earned with age. But maybe my boss was right. Maybe everyone was right. Maybe they were marks of stupidity, bought by sleepless nights and bad decisions. Were the original humans really stupid? That's what everyone else seems to see. But as soon as I walked to the end of the picture frame hallway, I rethought the whole conclusion. There, written into the wall, was a quote. "Look beyond what you see." Yes, I clocked it. 4.47 minutes I stood there, mouth opened, mind rushing. When I finally got to the 5th minute and 48th second, I swung my satchel to the front of my body and walked past the quote, trying to find a couch, or a chair, or a ledge to sit on. I left the hallway full of pictures of people who no longer exist, the hallway full of pictures of people who nobody knows, the hallway full of pictures of people who were forgotten, and nobody knows their names. I left that hallway and walked into the living room. Immediately, I noticed a big black screen. Dust lined the shelves, the coffee table, and the top of the big black screen was a wooden structure. The black screen sat on it. Obviously, nobody had been here for a long time. A beige curved sofa separated the hallway and the living room. I ran around it and sat down, pulling my tabloid out of my satchel. I wanted to type something great, something that would get me an Advanced Scientific Achievement Award. But out of all of the wood-brown setting, I saw a pop of color out of the corner of my eye. Sitting on the glass and wood coffee table was, I don't know. It featured a man with an interesting costume. It was red, white, and blue. A mask with eyes cut out covered the top half of his face. There was also a green monster, sort of like the ones we found on Jupiter. There was a woman dressed in black, holding some sort of gun, and 5 other interestingly dressed characters. It was a book. I remember Oxford had a whole library of them, but I'd never actually read a real one. The ones that were still around were at least 100 years old. Nobody writes anymore. Authors replaced paper with tablets. Tablets are little screens that have enough room in the hardware for one book. They're extremely thin, and they fit on shelves better. All regular books were downloaded onto tablets. Real books are still around, but locked up. You have to have a special library license to take books out of libraries. The rest of the house was strong, so the book must be. I reached out and picked it up. It was heavy for a book, probably about a pound, and at least 2 inches thick. All books were different, but this one was about 12 riodes long and 5 riodes wide. Larger than average. I opened up the exceptionally large cover to find a black and white comic strip. In fact, flipping through the entire book, it was all black with white pictures of people on the cover. How odd! The English written word was invented way before this book.